Hi everybody, welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17-8 podcast, kindly sponsored by ACD&B, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands, so if any companies out there need a new brand or a brand refresh, just get in touch with ACD&B. They are the best. Thanks as always, ACD&B, for sponsoring us. This is the Mailbag podcast off the back of Wigan versus Leeds in the playoff semi-final. Joining me, as always, is Reese. Are you good?
Yeah, good. It's a funny question because so the people that don't know, we're recording this right on the back of the match review panel.
Yeah.
That's why we're wearing the same clothes. We're not scruffs. For those that are watching on YouTube. In fact, actually, no, I just live in this Borough jersey, actually. Yeah, no, I'm great. I'm still beaming.
It's a mailbag record for the questions. We've never, ever had so many questions. I've got 27 questions. Well, some are like questions and some are like thoughts out there where they just kind of say, I think he's great. And we kind of go, yes, so do we. Who's joining us for the mailbag?
It's a good job we've got a guest then to help us get through these questions.
Yeah, we can just ask him.
Again, because it's right after the match review panel. It's the same guest. It's our Josh.
Fancy seeing you here.
Should stop meeting like this. We'd ask how you are, but we know how you are because we've just recorded
We're in the grand final. We don't need to ask a question.
We're all buzzing. Shall we get stuck in, gentlemen?
Hi.
Yep.
Let's open the mailbag. I've just shut the emails down for some reason. That was stupid of me. Start on here. First question is from Isaac. Sorry, the mailbag, for anyone that's new, is the Lot Pod's answer to your questions. You send your questions in to us, or we send questions to you. We all answer questions. If you want to send a question to us, at Lot178 or at the Owl and Fleece or Lot178 at Outlook.com, you'll kind of get the gist as you listen. First question is from Isaac. Eddie, what the fuck were you drinking on the Simon Brown podcast? Did you see what I was drinking, Reese?
I'm going to have to go back and look now because...
it was a luminous blue out of a glass like this. And I was laughing when Isaac asked this question because it's like an... I've completely drank it now, but I got it from B&M. It's like a... I can't remember what it was. Like a coconut and something fruit juice, like full of loads of sugar. Only cost like £1, but it was delicious, and I drank the whole thing. But it was only as I was holding it up and drinking it, I thought people think I'm drinking like fucking antifreeze or something here. Yeah, it's from B&M. It was like
it was that full of sugar that you've been awake ever since.
Yeah, I've still not slept. I won't sleep till the grand final now, Isaac. Yeah, try it. It was delicious. It was like coconut and some tropical juice, full of sugar, but yeah, it was delicious, mate. Off the back of that, Tomo says, what a fascinating story and life Simon Brown has lived. Absolutely gripping podcast. Have you listened to that podcast yet, Josh?
I've not had a chance to listen to that one yet. It's lined up for this week.
Dive in.
And the Sophie Robinson as well.
Yeah, brilliant. It was a fascinating podcast, don't you think, Reese, in Simon's story?
Yeah, it was absolutely fascinating. And I alluded to the match review panel like Wednesdays never look the same again. And that moment, I'm not going to give it away because the story is brilliant. But at that point, I remember I watched it back. There's me and you were literally just gripped.
I know.
Like we were looking at the camera, we were looking directly at it, and me and you were just there listening completely. We've never listened to our partners like this ever. Like we've literally both of us were just there.
I think Harriet's been shouting at me for an hour. I'm just been going.
But we just sat there in awe, just listening to Simon telling his story, and it was just brilliant. But yeah, and it was great, and not just that as well. Obviously, celebrating the success of the PDRL team and getting to know a bit more about the teammates because you don't really get to know the teammates as much with the PDRL. So it's great to learn a bit more about him and the rest of the teammates. But definitely a highlight. Definitely,
the Adam Hills documentary on Channel 4 is brilliant about the PDRL.
He mentions that, Josh.
He mentions it. Yeah,
it's really good. If anyone's not seen it, you should watch it.
Throw yourself into that, and throw yourself into the Simon Brown podcast. I mean, it was fascinating, honestly. I genuinely don't think I'll ever speak to anyone with a story like that ever again. Just incredible. Great to have him on. We'll probably have him back on some point. Callum says, there's one for Reese. Was that a Castleford shirt Reese had on the Simon Brown podcast? What were you wearing?
No, it was not. I'll go get it. Can I go get it?
Reese is going to go get it, yeah. It was a bright orange Did it have number 12?
I'll just explain. I'll just explain what it was. It was Oklahoma State Cowboys.
There you go.
It's a college,
not a cash
college
shirt.
from the States. Yeah, Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Wasn't a cash shirt, thank God.
Yeah, they were actually a fairly good college team last year. Everyone knows of Oklahoma. They're the sister college, and not the sister, they're the rivals in Oklahoma.
There you are, Callum. You can go buy that shirt. It's not a cash shirt. Lee, we finally get to hear Danny Maggs on the podcast. That bell of Reese's will be on fire. It will. It's just... Should it?
You can't have it on. Sure.
A bit unlistenable.
No, I can't have it on. Like, one, Danny will leave, which then Eddie will never speak to me ever again.
Yeah, we can't wait.
I might have to do I might have to do like a massive rage bell at the beginning.
Yeah, just like
then explain to Danny why, and then just take it away.
It's got all the bells in. Chloe says, "Do you have a fondness, or do you like any unique sport teams? I have been a bit of a Colorado Avalanches fan since visiting and attending a game a couple of years ago."
Ice hockey.
Yeah, it is ice hockey, I believe. NHL, yeah. So Chloe has a fondness for Colorado Avalanche because she visited. Any of you two have another fondness for any other sports teams? Any unique or weird reasons, or any follow any other teams? I'll go first. I like Dortmund in the Bundesliga, the German football side, simply because it's twinned with Leeds, Dortmund. So as a kid, when I found that out, my mum was like walking me outside the St. John's Centre in Leeds. It's like Dortmund Square with the bloke with the barrel, that like little CEX. That's Dortmund Square. And I was obsessed with the bloke holding the barrel as a kid. And I'd be like, why is he doing it? And she said, this is Dortmund Square. And then it stuck with me. Then as you get into like Championship Manager and as a kid and all that, I was like, Dortmund. And I kind of put the two together and kind of got a bit of a fondness for them. Other than that, not any other sides, really. I kind of picked Chicago for all American sports teams. I'm not a big American sports fan, but I kind of said, right, every Chicago team will be my American team, just because I think that city's quite similar to Leeds in that sports mad. And you two, is that enough time filled there for you?
I've got loads, so I don't know if Josh wants to go.
Reese has got loads. Go ahead.
I've got absolute loads. But Josh, have you got any?
A different sport. When I first moved to London,
became an Arsenal fan.
I became an Arsenal fan. No, I'm not a bad footballer, but amateur wise, not bad. But moved to East Dulwich, and there was a club there, and I thought, right, I'm going to try and get involved with some football down here. Carry on playing football.
Yeah.
And I went up to this club, which was around the corner from us, and I thought, I'll try and get involved with them. And it was Dulwich Hamlets, which was a really, really good non-league team. Which was really funny because obviously I'm not that good at football. So ever since then, we sort of we followed Dulwich Hamlets in football, which was pretty funny.
That's a unique story, though. Like the way you got to it,
Yeah. But they'd get like on some games they could get 6,000 or 7,000.
Easily.
Yeah,
it's a good standard. That.
Yeah.
Really good. Reese, are
you my mum?
Yeah. Did your mum call you Reese?
Yeah.
I'll sit now. I've got my in. It's Reese.
Well, everyone knows about my Football Manager obsession.
I know Reese has been on about 15 different teams.
Yeah. So
just on Football Manager.
There is NAFTA in Slovenia because I manage them in there. There's Akranas in Iceland. Granada in Spain.
I bet he's got all the shirts as well.
I'd love to. There's Institute in Northern Ireland.
Of course it is.
I'm trying to think of other ones that I've kind of played as. Lechia Gdansk in Poland, which kind of as a Rhino makes quite good because that's where Mick's from Gdansk.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all sort of teams I've sort of my favourite teams I've played in with Football Manager.
Have you got an Estonia shirt? Have you?
No, I haven't got Estonia. I've got Granada, and I'm trying to think of which one I'm meaning. There might be one. No, I don't have an Estonian one.
No.
But then obviously I'm massively into American football, so I have Jacksonville Jaguars, Oklahoma State, which is the college football, rugby union, Highlanders in New Zealand, the Neffy Scarlets in Wales for rugby because we don't really have a team around here. We did have Leeds. In fact, I remember going to Leeds Tykes in the challenge in what was called the Power Cup final then in 2005, and Leeds won that. Massive underdogs of the day, beat Bath at Twickenham, and Leeds Tykes went back home that day, and the Leeds Rhinos went out and got steaming in London that night, which I found quite funny considering they were the ones that didn't even win a trophy that day. So yeah, there's that, and then I just love sports in general. So like Melbourne Devils and the Aussie Rules, Warriors in the Rugby League.
I told you it was going to be a big list.
It's just like my Flash Score app just goes off 24/7 because I've got that many teams on it. It's ridiculous. So yeah, you weren't expecting all them, were you? Whoever asked that question,
Chloe.
There you go, Chloe.
You opened the right kind of worms there, Chloe.
I don't have an ice hockey one yet. I have been. I really
Chloe
like
just told you. She just gave you one.
Oh no, I don't want
Colorado Avalanche.
I can't do that because my best mate's a Denver fan, and that's where the Colorado are in Denver, so I can't do that. But there's Leeds Knights. We've got an ice hockey team in Leeds now.
Yeah, there is next Fulham Road.
And a couple of my friends have gone. They said it's really, really good, so I might have to try that out.
Yeah, my mate's been once or twice. He lives in Beeston, so I think he just walks down, and he said it's really good.
Yeah.
Next question's from George. I love this question. My young son loves watching you on YouTube. He's also called George and would love a shout out. Our question for you is, has there been some opposition players you would love to have seen play for Leeds? Well, first of all, George, sorry for the swear words that we sometimes, that I, Mark and Duncan in particular, slip out. Swearing's not cool. It's not funny, and we apologise. Not sure how old you are, George, but first of all, we apologise for that.
That should be like 18.
Yeah, it just says young son. Thanks for watching, George. We appreciate it. Big shout out to you, mate. What was the question? Sorry. Opposition players that you'd like to see play for the Rhinos. Do you want to go ahead? Go first. Go for it.
I've got one. Mine, George, Leeds born and bred, never played for us, Jason Robinson. Would have loved to see Jason Robinson play for Leeds.
Yeah, wicked player.
And still annoys me that he was from Leeds and played for Wigan.
Yeah, that is annoying. He was awesome as well. George, you're going to have to Google him, mate. I don't think... If you're around the age, I'm assuming you are, Google Jason Robinson. You'll probably get loads of highlights from England Rugby Union, won't you?
No, they will do. Yeah,
but he did play awesome rugby league. Mine is Rangi Chase. I think there were a period of time where
gas player.
Yeah. That he just did things. Me and my mate always talk about him. Not always, but we kind of go one ear laker. He just did things
he passed it round his back.
Yeah, that everyone remembers that.
Yeah, just did stuff that players have never done, or I can't even really mention someone like Benji Marshall doing stuff similar to what Rangi did. I mean, he would have been frustrating to watch, but then if you ask Cass fans about what was that year he won Man of Steel, 2009, was it? 2008? He was unbelievable, man. Just a real maverick. So I would have loved to have seen him maybe have a year in a Leeds shirt. Josh, have you got any opposition players?
Really? I've been trying to think.
Me and Reece kind of filled it out for you there.
Yeah, there's a bit of recency bias going on with this, but when Agar was talking Jai Field up for about 18 months, and then he went to Wigan, I was pretty gutted with that because at that time I thought we could really do with Jai Field.
Well, that got away, I think. Yeah, I still feel that way now.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't know really.
Is there anyone in the teams this season, just for George's benefit, for players in Super League this year, that you'd have? I know we've mentioned Jai Field there, but is there anyone from
Brodie Croft from Salford?
Croft.
Yeah, Man of Steel for me. Man of Steel for me, George. Easy, absolute dynamite. I'd love him at Leeds. Alex Walmsley.
It's a player I've mentioned a couple of times, but Tom Johnston, I really like. He's a bit injury prone.
You've mentioned this before,
injuries, isn't it? Yeah,
because I'm just sick of him scoring 100-meter tries against us.
I was going to say
that from happening.
Yeah,
I really liked Luke Thompson before he went to the Bulldogs.
When he went
I'd
there.
have him now.
We'd have him now. What's the next question? Adam asks, I think you're a bit hungry. We don't have much food talk on the mailbag anymore. It used to be real food heavy, didn't it? People just be hungry. What's your McDonald's order? Anyone know exactly what they get? Do you get the same thing? McDonald's?
Yeah.
Didn't we ask Jared O'Connor this? Sure we did.
Yeah, we did.
Jared O'Connor were like, right, I
It was
order.
like a £25 feast, if I remember.
Got him sent.
Yeah. In fact, I can tell you what I ordered the other day when I came back after an afternoon at Flight Club in town. I always get the wrap of the day meal because it's normally quite cheap. And then I normally add 2 to 3 cheeseburgers on top of that.
Yeah.
Because they're great. They're like this £1.19 are they now? Robin gets. Used to be 99p, those things.
I know.
But yeah, that's what I tend to do. I get the curry sauce as well from McDonald's.
Yeah.
My brother's obsessed with that curry sauce. Go on, Josh, sorry.
Me too. I've had the same order since I was about, 4 or 5. I've never had anything different. I get chicken sandwich, meal with chips, chocolate milkshake, with curry sauce that you're talking about. And then sometimes if I want a treat, I'll get an apple pie.
Yeah. And they're always red hot, aren't they? You can't eat them for half an hour.
Burn the roof of your gum red hot.
Yeah.
Red hot for about half an hour.
But
the chicken bit, I've never had.
How can the apple pies be that hot, but the chips always be that cold?
Yeah.
But I've never had. I don't think I've even had a Big Mac. It just doesn't interest me. I just had the
even when you drink alcohol.
Yeah.
You've never had a Big Mac drunk.
I have chicken sandwich.
Jesus Christ, you've not lived. That's the best thing ever. All the sauce.
I've tasted it. I have tasted it, but I just prefer the chicken.
The best thing when you're drunk is a KFC bucket.
I don't like KFC. In York, we've got the Yorkshire Pudding Wrap Company, which is mint.
Oh, you got that at market, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Today, I had a McDonald's today, and I had I tend to go for the limited edition burger, whatever that is. I think they're always quite nice.
Isn't it the
McDonald's
Big
Tasty this year, today. I tend to McDonald's to me. I absolutely love it. It's like heroin to me. The addiction. I'm just obsessed with it.
How can you eat something and be hungrier after you've finished? That's the thing. It leaves you wanting more. That's
kind of like I'm on the same line as Reese in that. I'll get the meal, so big tasty meal with a Coke, whatever. But then I'll get a double cheeseburger simply because I love it. As in McDonald's, I love eating McDonald's, and I'm petrified that I'll drive away and still be hungry. I'll think, shit, I should have got the extra 2 burgers off. Because I always feel like if I don't eat the burger, so say eat the meal and then a double cheeseburger, but then I've got another burger, I think, yeah, I can just eat that for supper. I can just sit on the side, cold McDonald's. But yeah, I absolutely love McDonald's, Adam. Rebecca says, love the podcast, thank you. What will happen if you ever go on holiday, Eddie? Will there be a break from the podcast? Well, yeah, I go on holiday in May, I think, for 2 weeks next year. So I'll just be throwing the keys to Reese, and Reese will just improve the podcast by about 300%, and everyone will be like, why did you bring him back? I'll be throwing the keys to Reese for 2 weeks, and he can guide the ship. Nick says, Jared O'Connor, is Jared O'Connor, our legit starting problem? Let me say that again. I'm clear I've had a drink. Jared O'Connor is legit our starting 9 from this point moving forward. We kind of mentioned this on the match review panel. From let's say from next year, Jared O'Connor, are we looking at our starting 9 now? Is he a hooker now?
Sorry, I'm so childish that every time I hear we do talk about hookers on this podcast, it just makes me laugh every time because I'm just that childish. I think it's a massive conundrum, to be honest. Because
I think it's a nice issue
these last 2 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's an incredible issue to have. But Jared, particularly his last 2 games, I think they're both starting hookers, and you play them whoever we're playing. And there's points where they can both be on the pitch as well. Yeah. I know that's just dodging the answer in a way, but I think it very much depends on who we're playing. And Rowan is quite tactical, and he'll know what he thinks works best. I thought Cruz is brilliant coming off the bench against Wigan. We took Jared off, but then when we needed to defend, like for the last 20 minutes and just keep it solid, he brought Jared back on. So each player will have a niche.
I agree with that.
And therefore, neither will be starting.
I'm just writing that down. But yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Josh, do you think?
Yeah. Josh?
Not to bring back a certain journal's article, but I'm glad that Brad Dwyer's leaving, I think, because I think we have lots of depth there now. I do see O'Connor as a hooker, as a number 9, Reese.
Yeah.
I think he's brilliant at 9. I think he's absolutely fantastic, but I also think that he can be great in other positions as well. So just to sort of agree with you, I actually don't think Lehman's played as well this year as he did maybe last year. But I do think Lehman's got the potential and has shown in the past as well that he's a really good quality 9. I would have him in contention for England. But I think Jared has played as good, if not better, this year. It's a great problem to have. You just go on form. You just give it to someone and say it's your shirt to lose. And I think the versatility of Jared is just another, what do you say, string to his bow. He can, if he starts at 9 and Cruz comes on, Jared goes into the pack. It's another pair of hands that can play football properly. I just think it's great. And then we've got Corey Johnson waiting to back it all up. Who, I mean, I watched quite a lot of the York City Knights, and he was on loan with us. With the Knights, start of this year or last year. Can't remember when it was, but he was just by far the best player in that team.
Pitch, yeah.
He is some talent. If he can get some games together, I think we've got 3 players there that are absolutely, 2 that are top class Super League hookers, and then another who's a great backup who,
just waiting in the wings to get his chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've got to look at where we were in terms of not so much hooker. He didn't smile, did he? But like halfback, and that Jared coming in and becoming a 9, let's say. Kind of, because we did see Lehman in the halves, and he pretty much got in the dream team last year. I know he got in at 9
games, didn't he?
But he were playing half.
Yeah,
majority of the year for Leeds, so he proved that he can be a half as well. So Lehman can kind of flitter between 9 and 7, 9 and 6, and then so I think the fact that we've come from having like Luke Gale and Rob Louis to where we are now, we're stacked, aren't we? So it's a good, but I do agree that with Reece, in that there's games where I've always kind of felt this way, to be honest, where there's like Rowan can adapt for certain teams, because you can kind of think, right, this is a Jared O'Connor game, which is kind of what Rowan said, Annie, in that he wants more in kind of defensively. That's why Brad Dwyer's not got a game, and then there's games where it'll suit Leeming more. So, Nick, we're in a great position in terms of the 9 for next year. Aaron says, have you all booked the Monday off for the Penrith game? I have. Have you 2 booked the Monday off for the Penrith game?
I don't know when it is yet. I'll be booking a random Monday off.
I've booked 2 random Mondays off in February, so should be all right for that. But yeah, Aaron, everybody listening, get that Monday off for the Penrith game. Mickey says, how amazing. Reece Martin's going to break the goal-kicking record in a grand final. How many does he need, Reece? Is it
1? Oh, for the Super.
I think he needs 1 for Super, doesn't he? I think we said.
Yeah, and then
Cameron say 1 for Super League.
About 5 for all time, is it? Or 4?
5 for all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might do it in the World Club Challenge. You might do the all time.
He'll break the Super League in the grand final, and then all time against Penrith.
Yeah.
How amazing! Paul,
band's worked out quite nicely for that, hasn't it?
Basically, the match review panel's just given Reece Martin a 2-week rest, which is quite handy, isn't it? So, whilst Eddie's on pause, I'll get some of the questions in. Tom Colton's asked, which Leeds side would you say this year's team is most similar to? Tom thinks it feels that the end of this year feels like 2015, like the last second win to secure position, and also a bit like 2011-12 with the underdog away victory so far. Any thoughts on which one you feel like it feels like most?
I thought in 2015 we were just the best team in the league all year.
Yeah, we just had that lapse.
Well,
didn't
we were. Yeah, we won the league leaders. For me, I actually think it's writing its own story. I think I mentioned on the other pod, that I don't feel like this team is. We have our players who are great. I think Newman's a superstar. But if you were to compare this team to any of the past, I don't think we have as many superstars at all. Anyone who can just dig you out of a hole. I think it's a collective team effort. And I think we're writing our own story with this one. I think it's another narrative to add to the collection. We will remember this year as a new year. It won't be like, oh yeah, 11 and
the
12
dawn of Rohan. I like that.
Exactly.
But
I just think it'll be. I can't really compare to many.
It's a bit unfair, isn't it, to compare them to? In a way, it's a bit unfair to compare them to the Golden Generation, because the title in itself, the Golden Generation, is quite a statement itself. It's also unfair for Rowan Smith to be compared against his dad and Tony. Rowan's his own coach and is having his own success. So there are similarities to Tom, because definitely, the coming from fifth, having to play away does feel a bit like 2011 and 12. But the side itself are their own team, own players, and Rowan's his own coach. The question was, Eddie, which Leeds side would you say this year's team is most similar to? Is there anything you wanted to add to what me and Josh have said before you get back to your questions, because your laptop's crap?
No, I think, my laptop is crap. I think you probably just said this, as Josh did, it's unfair to compare. I think it's like a new dawn, it's a new era. It's almost like the 2004 side, really, in that it's new, it's fresh. I know we've done it all before, but in that these players, I'd probably say that side. But again, it's the similarities are going to stick. These type of questions and people saying it's like this because we've done it so many times before, and especially with Rowan having his uncle being successible at the club, so it's always going to be that tie. But I think from the things we've seen,
there's only really two players that tie into that era as well, isn't there? Really, there's only Sutty and Briscoe.
They're both leaving.
Going at the
they're
end
both
of the
leaving.
season.
So it is a new. I know they're both leaving with another grand final victory, but it's still a new era in that once they're gone, JJB's kind of not taking a back step, but he's got a new role. Whether Danny comes back or not is another kind of question that we're all wanting the answer to.
Ask him on Thursday, can't you?
I'm going to ask him on Thursday. So I do think it's like a new era again. And I do think the fans will feel it, but there's always going to be similarities just because.
I actually think the break from, on a slight tangent, the break from the Golden Generation tag is quite a good thing. I think for a while it was trying to let's keep this culture going. Let's keep, this group of players have done so well playing like this with this attitude, with this culture.
Yeah.
And they couldn't live up to it. The players we had just couldn't live up to it. They weren't good enough, or they weren't those type of players, whatever the standards that Kev, Danny, Rob drove just weren't suitable. Whereas we're doing a new thing now. This is just totally new. And Rowan's come. This is his philosophy. This is a new set of players, a new team. Still the same club with the same history, but just a new, I don't know, just something it feels totally new to me. Which is just a good thing in itself. I think breaking that tie is almost like a weight lifted for a lot of these players.
It is. We've got to trust in Rowan. We've got to just back him, whatever he says. So if he thinks the Golden Generation lads, he doesn't want them around, or he doesn't fit how he sees it, then just trust Rowan, because he's obviously driving this ship to more success. Lucas says, is this the best result in Leeds Super League history? Josh, would you agree with Danny Maguire?
There's different. I don't know. It is in terms of what we're saying, like just as a team for performance. Everybody just grafted, didn't they?
Yeah.
And we got the job done. And I think, recency bias again. I'm terrible at remembering old games.
Mm.
It was a fantastic win. When I think of the great wins, so for example, if I think of like our grand final, the last grand final we won, it was Danny Magshaw won it.
Yeah.
And then I think of 2011, it was Rob Burrow. I don't know. There's always the moment of a certain player where I just really feel like this performance was the full team, everybody grafted, attitude, effort.
Yeah.
And if you're talking like that, maybe it was the greatest.
I think it was, simply because Danny Maguire said it was. So how can you disagree with the best? Laura asks, should we wear the pink kit in the grand final, Reese?
No. Blue and
This
amber.
one? Where are you on my screen? You here? Is that similar to you?
Blue and amber for me, I actually think.
Really? Not the Rob shirt? Wow.
This shirt is brilliant, and it stands
for
something.
And
it stands for something very, very important. But it's a grand final. I would love to see the blue and amber.
Start the new dynasty in the blue and amber.
Yeah, this shirt means a lot, and I love this shirt, but I just think I think the blue and amber is the right shirt for the occasion.
Blue and amber, Laura. That's what we think. The pink kit's it's done its job. We'll hang it up. It's been laid to rest. Adam asks, so glad. I don't know if this is going to ring true. Adam, my friend, so glad Aidan Caesar is going to play the grand final. Would have been terrible way for him to end the year. I don't think he's going to play. I
hope he does for him, but I don't know.
I don't think it's going to happen, Adam. You probably sent this in prior to a bit more news, but there has been, you look on Twitter and things, there has been conflicting kind of, one article will say, yeah, then like Josh was saying on I think it was a match review pod, accounts like NRL Physio kind of saying other things, but like, as I said on the match review panel, in my opinion, I don't think there's a cat and else chance he'll play. I just think the way concussion is, and we've just seen Brodie Croft miss the Salford game for a similar tackle, so how do you two feel about it? Are you thinking he's got a chance, or
head contact shouldn't be messed with?
No.
So if someone said, I mean, you just got to look at Stevie Ward,
exactly.
and the impact it had on his career and in his health. If a doctor has said no, then it's a no.
On the head contact thing, actually, if anyone's interested, James Graham's just started a new podcast, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's called Head Noise, and it's with the Telegraph, I think, in Oz, obviously. Yeah. It's very articulate. He comes across really intelligent, and he's going around interviewing ex-NFL players about concussion and all that stuff, and really, really interesting stories like Wally Lewis and Joey Johns, both have now got epilepsy through concussions. Really, really, if anyone's interested, there's only been 2 episodes so far. It's really good. I think it's called Head Noise.
Yeah, well worth a watch and listen. The next question's from Tom. Blake Austin, these last 2 games, has really gone under the radar. I feel he's played incredibly. I think he has, Reece, and it's the goatee.
I don't think he's gone under the radar because I think I feel like I've been shining a beacon for him because I think he's been brilliant, especially in defence. Obviously,
it was the whole. Sorry, just to nip in.
His kicking's pretty good,
It was the Hull KR game at home that Reece, whenever that was, Reece really kind of shifted the gears high on Blake Austin, and really, you've been waxing lyrical about him since then, really.
One, there was that kick that he did towards the end of the game, which I still think is probably the best kick of the season so far. But he started to show leadership in that game, and we've seen it since then. He looks like obviously you do enjoy your rugby when you're winning, but like you can see, I think I saw him in the game yesterday, and he was geeing up the crowd and stuff. And he was, especially at home, he's been really getting into it, and in defence, he's been brilliant. And what I quite like about him sometimes at the moment is that if nothing is on, he gets and he does get the ball. He doesn't stand around and go, sort of look for someone else, he'll just take it in himself
And run
and
it
run
in.
in.
Yeah.
He plays a
Run it
bit
in
like a
full pelt.
13 at times, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah. Just
He
squares
does.
it up and
So yeah, Blake's been brilliant. They all have.
who asked that question? Sorry, Tom. We're buzzing. Every player's amazing. We're in the grand final. Every player's amazing. Speaking of the grand final, Wayne asks, "Is there going to be a Lot Pod podcast meetup?" Try saying that a few beers at Old Trafford. There has to be. There will be. We just don't quite know
We need to find a grubby pub first.
which dump pub outside the dump we're going to choose yet. But we'll tweet the details and we'll just kind of say, we're in this pub. Here's the flag. Come and have a beer if you want and talk rhinos, whatever, with us.
Are you allowed to drink on the buses that Rhinos put on?
No,
Oh, bastard.
not alcohol. They'll let you take a kind of pop on, but
Right.
depends how much you need to drink, Reese. Are you gasping? I'm sure you can get a little vodka, put it in a bottle of Coke and get a wee nip.
What's that? Apple juice?
Apple juice, try it. No, you're all right. Emma asks, I'm not afraid to admit, we kind of touched on this on the match review pod about Rowan Smith and how emotional he was at full time in his kind of talking to Jana Brooks. Emma says, I'm not afraid to admit I cried my eyes out at the final whistle. It was just such a relief and I felt so, so proud. How did you feel at the final whistle, Josh?
Just, I don't know. To be honest,
I think a lot of people
barely...
did that exact same noise that you just made.
Yeah, my phone was just like pinging. I was texting my dad, my brother. I don't know. I was just all over the place.
Just kind of
pride, like
yeah.
I don't know. The interview with Rowan was so emotional and so raw. It was just brilliant. I loved how honest it was. The interview with Jared O'Connor and his dad was excellent. That was just brilliant TV. It's just all creating a narrative for the Rhinos to go to the Theatre of Screams and pick up that trophy again. It's, I don't know. Yeah, pride. I thought we'd do it. I just thought we'd do it, and we did, and it was just incredible.
You mentioned it there that it's the narrative. It's absolutely. How can people tell me that we aren't going to win the grand final, right? Terry O'Connor, for fuck's sake, Terry O'Connor is handing out the grand final trophy. His son is playing for the Rhinos. Fucking Danny Maguire is handing out the Harry Sunderland trophy. It's quite clearly going to be a Leeds win. The whole narrative there, the story's there. What were the questions? Sorry, I've completely forgot.
How did you feel at full time? You just went off it.
How did you feel at full time?
I did a video just after because I had a taste of your world, Josh and Eddie, and I had a kid on the evening on Friday night, and I had to leave the door open, and I don't have a door in my living room, so I couldn't really scream. So I had to go for a walk at full time because I just couldn't. I needed to let a scream out, and I literally /ran down the street, let a little scream out, and then recorded the video. And the intention of recording the video was doing what Laurie did on Lloyd's View, to do a bit of a dialogue on the game and everything. Just couldn't speak. I tried to go through the players, and they're going, Austin, this and that, and I didn't just going, fucking get in. I just couldn't. Brilliant. But yeah, I will. Again, we talked about the match review. Not ashamed to admit, I definitely got a bit emotional when Rowan started blubbing a bit, but that shows how much it means to him, and I want them to feel that
he's bought into it.
So
don't ever feel ashamed to admit anything, Emma, especially around crying. You know, goodness me, you look. We've said this loads as well, but you look at where we were at the start of the year and the podcast that we had. They were awful podcasts in that. The things we were talking about under Agar were playing awful. And it's that cliche of tell us at that moment, Wigan away and we're getting battered, and say, right, you're going to make the grand final. There's going to be a new coach called Rowan Smith. And you'd be like, who? and is going to guide you all the way to a grand final win. It's just sport, and it's like I felt really proud for the players as well because they're kind of they've proven to everybody that they have got it in them, that they are skillful, that they can lead. Because there were times this year, I mean, go back to some of the, no, in fact, don't go back, but you may remember some of the pods that we've done early in the year, especially people like me and Mark and Duncan who can just, if we were in charge around that time, we'd have sacked half the squad. We'd have said, you're out the door, get out. So the fact that the final whistle, you do become emotional. No, it's just, and it is relief, and it is just being so incredibly proud of them. We are right to be proud of them. Ollie asks, this is a question for me. I don't know, people have kind of spoke about my OCD in these type of games. Nothing, I don't think it's anything too severe, but I've had a couple of messages this week about going to Wigan. I even got offered a free ticket from Duncan. I think it was free anyway to go, and I turned that down. Duncan could have been listening, going, "It wasn't fucking free." And Ollie kind of says, "So how does your OCD work for the grand final, Lottie? Will you even be going?" Yes, I will definitely be going to the grand final. The only thing I have to do for the grand final is buy some Hugo Boss aftershave. It's a very specific aftershave that I've worn for every grand final, but I don't have any. So I need to buy some of that this week. And
You're
then
going to wear the same outfit, though, aren't you? Same clothes.
Yeah, I have to wear the same outfit again, which I've done for every grand final. It starts in the build-up, and this OCD doesn't work in the Challenge Cup. I can kind of do what I want in the Challenge Cup. But for the grand finals, it started in like 2004 when I wore the same outfit in the, right for the grand final, and I've done it every year since. So I need to wear the same polo shirt, trousers, and shoes again. But I need the aftershave. The aftershave only specifically works in the grand final. It sounds fucking stupid, and it
what
is.
What did you wear in 05? Did you not bother in 05?
No, I did. I think in 05, I put it down to. I always listen. This is another. I'm really admitting. I'm really leaving myself open here, but I always listen to Stone Roses. This is the one because in 2004, I think I've said this on the pod.
Play that Old Trafford, don't they?
In 2004, on the way to the game, it was the last song that I heard, and I don't know why I thought that kind of became it. And then for every grand final, but in 2005, Josh, I didn't listen to.
No, it must be that. Yeah,
I didn't listen to it, so I think that's why we lost that fight. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Do you carry that with you?
Yeah, that's the burden, and that's on me. That's on me. That's my burden to carry. But yeah, not Boyd to death of my OCD. But yeah, I am going to the grand final. Edward, nice name, asks, how stupid of John Bateman. He's now going to miss the World Cup. I think he's looking. I tweeted earlier. I think he's looking at 12. If again, it's what's that word? Consistency. Because he's going to. What did Tetevano get for his clear headshot?
5.
He got 5.
He had prior record, so it depends on what Knowles' prior record is. But then also
Bateman,
he's got John Bateman, sorry. But he's also got the
sexual assault,
every man's dream of finger at the bum scenario as well.
Yeah. And Corey Norman got 8 games for that.
Yeah.
So
how did that not get spotted? Everyone
I didn't notice it during the game, to be honest.
Did you not? I saw it straight away.
No.
All screaming at telly. So he could. Who's this? Edward. He could be looking at 12, 13 games.
Don't you think that's stupid that it goes into the World Cup, by the way?
Yeah,
because the RFL are actually affecting the England at this point. Like, I've never known a ban. Not there's bans from the sport, but like I've never known bans run into international as well.
Well, the NRL, there's the Penrith player, isn't there, who there was a guy who was taking a video of Nathan Cleary, and his teammate pulled the guy to the floor because Cleary didn't want to be videoed, and he's received a ban, but it starts next year after the playoff series because they don't want to affect the playoffs.
That's weird. That's really
it is a bit
strange.
weird, isn't it?
But yeah, I think Bateman will be getting a ban of some sort. How long we'll have to wait and see. And I'm just going to keep speaking a couple more words now because Eddie's coming back in because his laptop's crap. We've answered the question. Next one.
Oh, that was good timing. Where am I? Yeah, Bateman. Is this the best looking side we've ever had? This is from Ewan. I think what Ewan means is the actual men's side, as in how they look in person. Is this the best looking Leeds team we've ever had?
I'm going to say no, because no one's got a full-on mullet yet. Zayn's is kind of in potential growth. I need a proper one. Until we've got a mullet, I'm going to say no.
But like a Ryan Pappenhausen mullet. Or
exactly that.
Yes.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Yes.
A pappy.
That's exactly what it died and...
There's definitely something with this mustache game on at the moment, though, isn't it? Because there's quite a few of them that have got this mustache.
Mm.
And like you're saying, and I find it funny that it's Tetivano and Bentley are the two of them, and now they're playing heroically.
No coincidence.
Shave them off and they'll get a ban.
Yeah, no. So they're not allowed to.
Just start look that. My mate keeps going about this about Tetivano. Says we'll get to grand final and he'll turn up on grand final day and he'll have skinned his head and shaved his tash.
Yeah.
And we'll all say, what the fuck have you done?
What is it? Samson, is it?
Samson.
Yeah.
In terms of the best looking Leeds side, I don't know, because previously we've had some really good looking players. Callum Watkins is still really good looking. Danny Maguire is still really good looking. Kevin Sinfield, even now, still really good looking. Who's the other one? Joel Moon. He was a really good looking bloke. Brent Webb, I thought he was good looking. Yeah. Ali Lauatiti. So I don't think this is the best looking Leeds side, but then you kind of look at them at that old side because of what they won as well, but quite close, you mean. Darren asks, so proud of the whole Leeds organisation, the women, the LDRL, the PDRL, the wheelchair side, and now the men's side. They are all doing the city proud. We've been banging the drum for a while in this podcast and all that inclusivity between the older sides. And finally, the men's side have caught up with everybody. Yorkie asks, we must wear, another kit question, we must wear the Rob Burrow kit for the final time at the grand final. We've kind of just decided it has to be the blue and amber home shirt, which I kind of agree with, for the grand final. Saints will be in there minging.
It's just something about the Saints Leeds final. Saints are always in their red V. Yeah. We're in some form of blue and amber because we've had some strange kits. We've had the really stripy blue and yellow one, haven't we? And we've had the navy one in 2007. But we've played in some form of blue and amber. Obviously, that's Wigan, that one. Yeah. But yeah, I just think I love the shirt. Don't get me wrong. I love everything it means and stands for. But I just think it's blue and amber for me.
Blue and amber, definitely. Macaulay asks, what would you rate the squad out of 10 for this season? And Macaulay has kind of given us his scores for each player. We are going to do this, aren't we, Reese? We're going to
Yeah, so we are going to do a season podcast review. So maybe what is a good idea, and I'm just thinking this out loud, is that before we record that, we send out a form to everyone to rate all the players out of 10. Precisely. So we can give our ratings, and then we can obviously see what people say. So we'll take that question and we'll pop that into the end of season review after the grand
That'll
final.
Be interesting because there's pre-Rowan and post-Rowan for me.
It's going to be quite hard to answer that, isn't it? Yeah. Because there's a couple of players that have been consistently incredible throughout. So your Micks, like James your Hanleys, your Martins.
I'll call him a moron and everything.
But then, like you say, your Tetivanos and your Bentleys could go from a 2 out of 10 in some instances. I'm not saying Bentley, but Tetivano might be, to Bentley being invaluable and indispensable at the moment, and Tetivano being
Jared O'Connor.
Yeah, Jared O'Connor. He played 2 games or maybe 3 games before Rowan came in charge. He's been ever present ever since Rowan came in.
So it's exactly like Josh said. There's Agar and then between the year. But yeah, Macaulay, we're going to do a legit podcast on like player ratings and things. So we'll kind of pin that to the board for now. Rob says Wellesby and Knowles will both get away scot-free and not get a ban for the grand final. And then Rob says, it drives me absolutely fucking mental kind of, do you both agree with Rob? Do you think either will get a ban for this? Does anyone expect him to get a ban for grand final?
No, Knowles will get a ban. He has to get a ban. That is grubby, nasty. What he did there, clearly, you can't. Wolf saying he's flabbergasted if he gets
flabbergasted.
A ban. Bollocks. He clearly does it with intent, and it's just grubby. Wellesby is going to annoy me for consistency because of the Martin incident.
Because of Reece Martin.
I think he has to.
And I know exactly what they're going to say, and they're going to say the player's body height was low.
Yeah.
So what? I just it does my head in as well. Whoever said that, I feel
it drives Rob absolutely fucking mental.
Yeah, me too. It does my head in the frivolous thing.
Yeah.
Because we put a decent case together by all accounts. It sounds like we showed evidence of the same contact, which didn't result in a penalty, and all this stuff. Frivolous, an extra game ban, and we've had that several times this year. And we're not, we're not stupid. Like Rowan said, we've sought legal counsel on each one of the appeals. It's not like we've just gone in and said we don't want the ban, overturn it. You know what I mean?
You're all a bunch of dickheads.
Yeah.
Sort your life out.
Frivolous this.
It's diabolical.
I hope George is listening to this podcast because there's a lot of swearing on this one, George. I have to apologise again. I think they're both going to get away. Even Knowles, I think he's going to get away with it. He shouldn't
get away. There's clear intent.
He absolutely shouldn't
bottle it.
Think he will. When is it Monday?
It's Monday.
Is it Monday? It's coming out. Yeah. Just it will not, and Twitter again will blow up, and because they'll get away with it.
It's going to blow up in any direction because there'll be people thinking, how have they not got enough? How did they get away with it? X, Y, and Z, and 50,000 times over. So
we've not got anyone. There's no risk to any of our players, is there?
Oh, thanks for jinxing it, but
well, you never know, do you?
I'm coming for you Monday, Josh.
Until it comes out and you click on it, you're like, please, please, please.
And this is why it annoys me because the most important day now in rugby league is Monday.
Yeah.
Again, something we've said on the podcast.
About themselves, haven't they?
Which is just pathetic.
Many times. Pathetic. Last question from me is from Natalie. See everybody at the grand final for one hell of a party. See you there, Natalie. Reese, have you got the Twitter mailbag?
I do. I kind of want to start the party now, though. There's a couple of comments. Jack said it's a cracking stash. So I'm assuming he's talking about our Bentley there. Daniel Gittos, something. Daniel says, amazing. Smith is the Rhinos version of Marcelo Bielsa.
Agreed.
I agree with that. I heard you talk about that recently. The way I think that, because I know, Reese, you said it's a bit like Jesse. For me, what it is he's taken a team which was like that squad you wouldn't think were title contenders. And he's not signed anyone really. He's taken that team and improved them through coaching to suddenly be title contenders. And then on top of that, he's reunited the fan base with the club. Like there was a rift between United and its supporters. I won't say... Well, everyone was fed up of Agar in that era, weren't they? And in that way, I think that it's very similar to Bielsa. Reunited the fans. He's brought attacking football. Both brought attacking football. And without making a load of signings or what have you, suddenly, very quickly actually, turned a team of, no hope into title contenders.
The similarities they just echo each other so perfectly.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
I was thinking of a completely different angle. I bet Rob Oates is thinking, I'm so glad we put the season ticket renewals out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because obviously just the performances, it just goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Because it does mean that, Josh is right, that connection with the fans is back. People are excited to watch Rhinos again. They've released the season tickets. They will sell more season tickets now because of where we are now. So I bet they're going, that was good timing. Yeah. Daniel also did agree that Bentley does have the best tash ever. You must have asked about this. Yeah, you did. Another Daniel Whetstone says you should get a screenshot of Morgan Smithies seething in the background after Bentley's try.
I did see that.
I need to have a look at that one and see what that
I did
is.
see that. That was magical.
I want to clip up that Jackson Field laughing at the Wigan chant as well. That's brilliant.
No, we need to slice this game up and get it online.
Yeah.
Hinchy, if we win it again, Hinchy. When?
This thing working? When?
How long will it be till they change the format for the playoffs? And how long will it be till the town of St. Helens resurfaces from the heavy downpour of tears?
That's a good point.
They'll probably change it for Saints' benefit not long after. To be fair, IMG will have a look at it, I'm assuming. They'll have a look at the whole structure. I just can't.
The thing that's irritated me about this Saints thing is I feel like that. Yes, they've won 3 in a row, and the narrative is, possibly the greatest team ever in the Super League era. For me, they've done it in a period where we've been out of the game. We've not been challenging. There's been seasons when Wigan haven't been challenging. Warrington have not been challenging. They've done it in a period over the last 3 or 4 years where all the top clubs haven't been in the grand finals. It's kind of, for me, an easier era. And also, even if they get the 4th, which they won't, but even if they did, we won, was it 5 out of 6? We did 7, 8, 9, 11, 12.
11, 12, 15.
That's 4. 5 out of 6.
17.
Plus the rest. So I'm just not buying it at all. I don't think they are the best team in the Super League era. I think it's been an easier era for them to win their three-peat. And even if which they won, if they got the 4th, I'm still not as impressed.
They won't get the 4th, don't worry.
No.
Cameron, our regular, actually argues. No, he doesn't argue. He tells you why. He tells you which Leeds side is the best in our new fanzine.
Yeah,
he does.
So buy it and read it.
He can't buy it. Sold it. He sold it out.
Oh no, someone might be selling it on eBay.
Oh yeah. Sam Scaife asks, and we've had this question quite a few times the last couple of weeks, or since Rowan's come on board. Is our almost passive approach to defending a stroke of genius by Rowan Smith? Give the opposition easy meters so we don't let them in behind us with the confidence that our goal line D is incredible. Josh?
The team I worry about with that is Saints.
Remember
last year, I felt like they were offside for every single play of the ball. They were that fast. Well, yeah, they probably are, but just that fast. I don't know. I think it'll either be genius. I think next week we'll see, won't we? And I'm sure it will be because in Rome we trust.
I think there's a time and place for it. I think in moments on Saturday we're going to have to go out and meet them because that first 20 minutes against Salford today, they were making 60, 70 meters on a drive. Yeah. It was, it were. I mean, it was Salford weathered the storm with conceding 2 tries, but I think I don't know. It's certainly worked. It's certainly changed because we're in a position where we are because of it.
This is, like Reece has said, we have discussed this loads on the pod since Rowan came in, and the one thing that we have discussed as well is how this kind of tactic would work against Saints, more specifically against Alex Walmsley. Now Walmsley's not playing, so we aren't going to see that. Yeah. But we're still going to be interested if we do still play this type of tactic against Saints. This is essentially what we've said on the pod since Rowan's come in. We've kind of said it might work against these, but then we'd love to see it against Saints. Well, we're going to see it on the biggest stage, aren't we? So whether we change and adapt, I don't know, but I'm quite fascinated to see it in action, to be honest.
Yeah.
Andy Walker says, I feel absolutely amazing. Lottie, the atmosphere was brilliant last night, but I'm absolutely gutted. I can't make the final as I start a new job on Tuesday.
Oh my God.
And they've got me working on Saturday.
Quit, Andy. Andy,
just quit. There you go, Andy. Josh says quit. I would say to shift swap or whatever you're doing. Get someone to cover you or whatever if you
Calling
can.
a sickie.
Just don't put any posts on social media if you do pull a sickie.
Yeah.
But he's also asking, where's Loiner's view getting his tattoo? Is it if he win or if he got to the
It's
grand
if he
final?
wins, yeah.
No, if he wins. He got away with it, the little turd. He just managed to. When I was listening,
it's going to happen.
Oh, it's still going to happen.
When I listened back to it,
he also says it might be small, I think, which is a bit.
Yeah, he said it'll be a small thing on my arm. Because kind of speaking to Laurie, I think we both thought that he said if we get to the grand final.
I remembered it like that as well.
Is that how you remembered it? So then listening back, I kind of listening back with my wife and we're like, oh God, it's if we win, which we are going to do anyway. But I thought the only reason I'm a bit gutted about that is I thought he was going to have to get it now.
Yeah.
So I grabbed it and got the clip on, like, right, we can film it and I can meet him so we can film it all. But
but does anyone
know
know
where it's going to
the grand final yet?
Who's
reffing the grand final?
I hope not fucking Kendall.
It'll probably be Kendall after two.
Because if it is,
it's a Saint's 18th man.
We don't know where Laurie's going to get it. He'll probably get it on his ass, somewhere, won't he? Somewhere it can't be seen, where no one will see it.
Either way, regardless of where it is, I will be wanting to live stream this at somehow.
Yeah, we'll definitely be filming it and kind of, doing a little section on the podcast for it without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay, two of our last questions. Well, the first one is from Ian East Leeds.
Legend.
What are your top 5 Leeds Rugby League / Rhino songs?
I think the best ever...
Preferably in order, he does say.
I think the best ever song chant were Jamie Peacock's.
What, wrapped around his head and took it in his sock? Yeah, that was really right.
I think that were... My wife went to one Rhinos game in the old South Stand when they used to sing, and she was just like fucking pissing herself at this song. And she just had it in her head for like any time. It's literally the only rugby league game she's ever watched. She went to it.
I like the Jamie Jones one.
The Jamie Jones one's brilliant. The Keith Senior one's brilliant on a similar.
I don't mind the Ryan Hall one. Just something nice and simple.
Yeah.
I definitely
Fish
think...
and Zach had the same for a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, they had the same.
That was catchy.
I don't think I've got a top 5. I think they're all fairly good fun, aren't they?
I used to like Barry's
Marching On Together is clearly number 1, though.
Yeah, that's the best.
Marching On Together is number 1, but the one I think of more when I think of a Rhinos crowd is the We're Leeds Rhinos.
Me too.
That's what I think of.
That feels like
a Rhinos. Choose one as our identity. That
or even
I think of.
Rhinos.
Original.
Yeah. And the last set of questions are from Bry at 6 again. His first question is done free because he's taken after Laurie. His first question is, what is your grand final day pre-game routine? So mine's changed a lot. Because 2017 I was in Amsterdam, 2015 I was in New Zealand. So last grand final I went to in 2012, and my dad used to drive all the previous ones used to drive there and back. So my dad didn't drink a lot, and I was the previous ones I didn't drink a lot either. This one is going to be a completely new routine for me because we're getting the bus, which sets off from Headingley at 12. So I don't know, but it will involve beer, laughing, winning. Beer, laughing,
and winning.
And winning, yeah. You two, have you got a usual routine for your grand finals? Because we've had plenty of practice at routine for this.
Well, usually I'm absolutely steaming by the time.
But you don't drink anymore, do you?
Because we used to get the train at like 12 from Leeds and then go around Manchester and then go to ground about 5 o'clock, 4:30, kind of stumble in and kind of see how the Rhinos went. So this will be my first. This has been my first ever final sober, stone cold sober. So I'm driving to this one, so it's a completely different experience to me. I'm filling the car and taking my mates over in that. So in terms of routine, nothing really, nothing. Just wearing the same clothes again and aftershave.
just that slightly weird
Clearly
OCD.
vital. But
Josh, have you got a routine?
Well, no, I don't. But what I think is so good about the grand finals is it timestamps where you were in your life.
Yeah.
So like I think back to each grand final, it almost like documents because I've been in so many. It documents my almost my I don't know my my life, like the period of time. Like I think of 04 and the things I think about. I can't actually remember much of the game from in the stands. I remember more from watching it back. But I remember going with my granddad, my dad. I remember coming on the way back. They didn't send enough trains back up to Leeds, which was annoying. I remember going in for the Warrington one. I remember going, bumping into my brother-in-law there, who I didn't know was going. I remember 15 being there. It was the first time I took my little brother to a grand final. I remember all these things, and quite a lot of it revolves around family, I suppose, for me. But it kind of documents where you were in your life at which time. 2012, I didn't manage to go because I just got out of hospital that morning. But all week it was touch and go whether I'd been in for 3 weeks. And my brother-in-law had got, maybe it was 12 or 11. I can't remember, one of them 2 years.
There's so many.
There's so many. And I'd had Brett Delaney. My brother-in-law had got Brett Delaney, Wella Haraki, Bailey to message me on Twitter saying, good luck, hope you can be out for the final.
Oh, wow.
And I'll never forget those messages. And I got out I got out the Saturday morning, and me and my dad went to and my granddad went to Working Men's Club round the corner from us and watched it. And I think I don't have a ritual, like a pre-game ritual, but what's nice about the grand final is it kind of documents I don't know, you'll always remember where you were in that moment, or what you did before, or what you did after. It's a real timestamp on your life. Do you know what I mean? And this one will have a new memory which you'll never forget.
I love that, Josh. I enjoyed that. You're right, though. You're completely right. Like, some of the best memories I have with my dad are at the grand finals and going to watch them. So you're completely right. Six Again's next question, which we've kind of already discussed already, which is what time and where is the Lot 17A meet-up at Old Trafford?
We don't know, Bri. We don't know
This
yet.
is because Bri is a St. Helens fan. No, he's a St. Helens fan, but he'd rather be in our company because he's... what did someone describe him on his Twitter? Was it like a normal St. Helens fan?
Sensible Saints fan.
Sensible Saints fan. I've never heard that phrase, ever.
I think it's because he lived in Yorkshire for, how long? 8, 9 years, 10 years?
Yeah, something like that. And his last question is even more difficult than when the first time he asked this. Who gets Coach of the Year within the Rhinos?
Jeez.
So is it Rowan Smith? Is it Lois Forsell? Is it James Simpson? Or is it Dan Roberts
Dan
and
Roberts.
the PDRL?
Christ.
It just feels so unfair separating them. But by the way, I cannot wait for the homecoming parade or whatever when they're
Wow, yeah, think of that.
all the different teams of all their trophies and medals that they've won. I can't wait for that, by the way.
Fucking unbelievable, isn't it?
I'll say I think it is Rowan. Just for the turnaround. Were we third off bottom?
Yeah, we're diabolical, weren't we?
I think Rowan's going to be my honourable mention and close second, but first place, I think I'm going to put Dan Roberts in the PDRL side. It's going to be probably slightly influenced by the fact we spoke to Simon on Tuesday, Simon Roberts.
No, it helps, by the way.
Simon Brown. But also that was their first ever grand final victory, and there was some of the originals in there from 2018, of which Si was one of them. And Warrington have been quite dominant in that as well, haven't they, in previous years? And then knocked them out in the semis, which Adam Hills talked about today on the Channel 4 coverage, which was quite good fun. So I'm going to say Dan Roberts for that reason. But Rowan's a close second, I think, for me.
I think if the women's side beat York tomorrow, I think it'd have to be Lois for me in that. Because kind of like Josh mentioned earlier there, about the standard of the league, the women's side now with York and Saints being like the women's game at the moment is stronger than ever. So I think for Leeds to knock out Saints, then go back to back and beating York, I think that's the most difficult 2 games of any Rhinos side. That
has Lois taken them to a grand final before? Cuthbert was there, wasn't he?
Was she coach last year, Lois?
I think she was last year, wasn't she?
She was
last year, yeah. Last year at Headingley, won it, lost to Saints.
Yeah.
So she won one before.
She's not won one before, no.
No, so that would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Not as a coach.
I think going back to back, knocking Saints out, and then if we do beat York tomorrow as we record this, I think that's the biggest achievement just because of the standard of the game and how much it's improved recently. So I'd probably say Lois in that respect. How do you feel about it, Josh?
Well, I think Rowan, just because I think all of them absolutely feel so proud.
We're also 3 different coaches.
Yeah, well, that's how good it is, isn't it? I think.
How lucky are we?
Yeah, I feel so proud of the club. It's all come together, hasn't it? Like it was not looking like this 6 months ago or whenever. But I do think Rowan, yes, I do think the competition in the men's Super League is probably easier than yesteryear. But I think even so, in any era, to take third from bottom with whatever, how many games he had? About 15, 16 games or something? 18 games,
including the playoffs,
to the grand final. I think that is an unbelievable story. Without signing any players, but Zach, whatever, but just the same group of players that were so badly underperforming to get into a grand final with injuries to many star players as well and suspensions. We've had nothing go our way, really. Even in the game yesterday, I didn't feel like particularly a lot went our way. I just think it's the way he's done it, the way he's conducted himself as well, I think is, for me.
3 different coaches, yeah?
Yeah, I don't really like to choose because just...
Any of them.
Yeah.
3 different answers.
And James certainly still deserves a shout out as well for his work he's done with the wheelchair because they've won the Challenge Cup, League Leaders Shield, and going to the grand final. So I don't understand how he's not beat Johnson as well. But that's just the standard that is being set across the club at the moment, which
incredible.
Is brilliant.
If there'd have been a 4th guest on this, they probably would have said, James and the wheelchair.
That is the end of the questions, and that is the end of the mailbag, Eddie.
That's the mailbag. Wow, this is where we've had to slice the mailbag up into its own separate podcast because it's just become this monster that snowballed into its own separate podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. The next and the final mailbag will be the grand final mailbag. That'll be the last mailbag of the season. We're not doing it for the World Cup. We're just doing like the World Cup review package magazine type show as a whole. So thanks for listening. We'll be back with Danny Maguire on Thursday live at 7:30 as we record this. See you soon, everybody. Thanks a lot.